was the worst spot to hang out. But the best spot to be this weekend, this past weekend, was the Street Fighter 6 beta. It was actually pretty dope. I don't play a lot of Street Fighter. Like, I didn't play 5 at all. I played 4. I liked 4, but I wasn't like super deep into 4. I've always been mainly a 3D fighting game guy and like an NRS player. Like, I admit that I love Mortal Kombat, especially 9 and X, and Injustice 1 and 2. Those were super dope games. So what we'll do is we'll watch some of my own footage on mute. Yeah, there's going to be Beanieception here. You guys are going to see Beanie Thuggish twice. And I think that's A-okay. But we won't have sound, so you guys don't have to hear it twice, right? A lot of stuff was going on during the Street Fighter 6 beta. There was new mechanics that people were trying to get used to, / recurring mechanics. I shouldn't call them recurring. I should say, yo, that's the highest video quality. Yo, looks terrible. The overall gameplay experience, right? The core experience is still Street Fighter, right? There's still normals you want to use to fish for counter hits in neutral. There's still like poking normals, and there's still like hit confirmable normals that you're going to try to use to start your offense, right? I only played Kimberly the entire beta. I messed around in training mode with Luke a little bit and Kin because I heard that they were simpler characters, but I mainly played Kimberly. Super duper fun character, though I think her normals were a little stubby sometimes. I really had fun with this character. I had fun with the beta overall, actually. As a person who doesn't play a lot of Street Fighter, it felt very intuitive to like press buttons and figure out what cancels and where my target combos lied and things like that. I will say the new mechanics weren't as overbearing as people said, right? I think the biggest thing that people were worried about was parry being way too strong, and I didn't see a lot of people using parry, right? Parry in neutral doesn't seem great unless it's like perfect parry, so there's a lot of times where parry doesn't really do much. It only is going to be really strong when it comes to perfect parry, or at least that's what it seems like so far. A lot of the grounded based offense comes from just understanding what buttons you can use to cancel and to beat drive impact, right? There was a lot of times where I lost specifically because you see that button that I was using right there. That's crouching medium kick. I was using a whole lot of crouching medium kick in scenarios where people were ready and drive impacting. That move's not cancelable. So because it's not cancelable and it's a poke I'm using in neutral because it's one of her better buttons, I'm running a risk of being drive impacted, right? When instead I could go for something like oh, that was sick. Wow, I'm nice. I'm nice with it. Wow. Where instead I should have been using something like maybe crouching medium punch. Pat Stacks, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you, Pat. What's up, dude? Or I should have been using something like crouching medium punch or standing heavy punch because they're special cancelable, right? I really like the game so far. I think that the baseline of the game is fun. It's fun, and it feels a lot more interactive than people say about Street Fighter 5, right? The fact that there's no stun gauge, generally the stun is like it all comes from you having no drive gauge, which is 100% manageable on you because it's your block gauge. It's your meter for EX moves. It's your meter for drive impact, drive reversal, and drive parry. Because it's all of those things together, there's definitely situations where you're going to be in like a drive war with your opponent, where your opponent's going to be trying to attrition you out and force you to use up your drive meter so they can push you towards the corner and force that stun. Stun did not happen nearly as often, even for how aggressive people were being with their meter and just aggressive overall, as it would have happened in something like Street Fighter 5. Because in Street Fighter 5, it's very easy to stun people, right? There's just so much good offense and like take the throw styled situations, where in Street Fighter 6, the throws actually have a lot of whiff animation. There's significantly more animation on throws than there is in Street Fighter 5 and even Street Fighter 4. So now taking the throw isn't always the best idea because you can actually whiff punish people for throwing. Like, if someone tries to throw and you like neutral jump their throw, you can get a pretty big punish. Is Kimberly fun? Absolutely. I think that like some of her better sequences come off of her buttons that aren't cancelable, like standing heavy kick and crouching medium kick. But that's just a risk that they probably had to give to the character, because otherwise her better buttons, her like very long range buttons in neutral, would have been too good. I could have killed there, by the way. I figured that out way later. But so, you know, having the learning process with the other players was really cool. I do think that I could tell that a few players had been playing the game a little more than others, maybe a little earlier than others. But it was still a fun time regardless. Like those people were very, very solid, and it might have ruined the experience for some, but I liked the challenge. Like getting my ass beat to force me to get better was no biggie for me. What's something I can specifically talk about? I guess like gameplay wise, everything is solid and fun, right? I think that this is probably the most fun I've had with the Street Fighter games since like the EX games, which were 3D, so those don't really count as Street Fighter. I will say the game having like a culmination of Street Fighter's most common and like normal mechanics is pretty cool, right? Like it has parry, which is something that existed in 3. It has focus attack right there, that's essentially a focus attack that you can't charge or cancel out of. Thank goodness, because that's what made focus so strong in Street Fighter 4. It's essentially a focus attack, right? It gives you the crumple of a focus attack. It blows through buttons, but can also be they count. Hell yeah, I think he's dead. Yeah, I'm sick. I don't know what made him think that was a good idea, by the way. Like at 0 HP. 0 drive gauge. I have 3 bars in me. I don't know what made him think that was a good idea. I also could have killed him there without spinning level 3. What the fuck is my problem? Anyways. And then also having drive reversal or alpha counter, right? I didn't see too many people using the alpha counter, but it was a thing. Drive reversal. All of those mechanics coming back and being in one Street Fighter game, all accessible from start of round for everyone, including, I guess, EX moves as well, overdrive moves. All of those moves being accessible start of round for every single character in every instance is actually really cool. And I think that it really helps with the flow of combat in the game. Yikes. I'm watching this back and I'm like, damn, this was day 1 of the beta for me, or maybe day 2 of the beta. I played significantly better day 3 of the beta, but that's okay, no biggie. At least we learned a lot along the way, and I think that's pretty cool that it felt as if like there was ways to learn. I wasn't just like mashing target combos or using modern like people were afraid of for Street Fighter 6. People were like, oh well, maybe everyone's just going to be using target combos and like mashing in modern mode. As a matter of fact, I tried modern and it cooked me. I could not use modern. Modern didn't work for me. It was not an intuitive experience. Also, the damage loss on it is very unfortunate. You lose like 20% damage just for picking modern. All your combos do 20% less. Network. I think, so as you can see up on the top, it says right there, there's 3. There's D, R, and P. P is your ping, R is your rollback frames, and D is your delay frames. It's very strange. So if you're playing against an opponent with really, really high ping, it changes your delay mid-match. If you have a 80 millisecond match like we have here, which is pretty cool, it keeps it at 0, right? I think it's anything under. That was an amazing poke to catch my dash in there. Anyways, if you have like an amazing connection with someone, anything under 90 ms, 90 ping, you usually have 0 delay frames. But if there's ever a spike and it changes that from, I don't know, 80 to 200 or 150, you're going to get a delay frame added or 2 delay frames added. And that delay frame will stay on for the rest of that match. Whether it be a game 1 or a game 2, for the entirety of the rest of that match, you will continue to have delay frames. And I think that's really strange. I wish that the delay was just settable, like you could choose your delay. And I think the rollback also goes up with the amount of ping you have, right? So because we have very little ping, 1 rollback frame, no biggie. And it when the connections work, the game feels great. I even played some people from Europe and a few people from Japan, and it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I had like 3 or 4 rollback frames with people from Europe and people from Japan. I'm in the center of the United States, and it was relatively playable with like 2 to 3 delay frames. Now, if you could just choose your delay, that would make it so that both ends of the spectrum are covered, and you're allowed to pick and choose how you want to play the game. I'm sick. I'm nasty with it. That was so clean. It doesn't do much damage, as you see here, by the way. If you perfect pair something, you don't get a lot of damage. Hold on. Easiest person in my life, true. If you perfect pair something, you don't actually, the damage scaling is added on. So this combo normally does way more than this. Even though it says punish counter, it's not a lot of damage. It's kind of a minuscule amount of damage. I was probably better off doing something that was going to lead into level 1 to use my level 1 to get Oki and a knockdown. We're not a paint can. Anyways, that's besides the point. the network when it works is great. I will say I don't know if this was happening with people with bad PCs or if it was happening with people with on console, but there was a lot of matches throughout my day 2 and day 3 where, and I can't remember off the top of my head, I might have to look back through my matches when I'm finding stuff to upload to YouTube. There was a lot of my matches that weren't running in 60 FPS. They were running at 40 or 30. I even had a match running as low as 18 frames, and it felt really unplayable. And I noticed people in the lobby saying that, hey, I can't play against you, man. Sorry, it's less than 60 frames. And the guy would be like, yeah, man, sure, whatever, right? As if they weren't having these issues when playing. So these frames or frame drops might be one-sided, which is even worse than one-sided rollback. I could have punished that way. I could have killed him. I could have done like 5 heavy punch, 2, 3, 6 heavy punch, super. But it's fine. No biggie. We lost because of that. I'm ass. I definitely could have won that round. It's okay. Anyways, so I don't know if there's some sort of network issue that's happening on a frame level instead of a rollback level, but that's still kind of an issue. Like I said, I can't say for certain where the problem lies, whether it be with bad PCs and people are running their game at too high of settings, or if it's people on console and console's just not able to keep up with like a low to mid end range PC, right? Like my PC at the time was a little bit worse. I was on a GTX 1650 Super. I now have an RTX 2070 in my system. I wish I had got to play it with the 2070 to see how much different it would have been, but I'm almost afraid that those frame drops were on the opponent's end, that it was the opponent having a worse PC or a worse console than me, and it was forcing rollbacks on me or frame drops on me. Other than that, when the connection works, It's great. That was a thick combo. Oh, I'm nasty. That's the punish I should have done. I would have killed him. On the DP, that was a sick DP punish. Watch this shit. Ooh, nasty. Yeah, I think I still lose this round though, so it's fine. Yeah, I try to walk back. The pokes in this game, no matter how much like drive rush and drive impact and parry exists, the pokes in this game feel immaculate. It's so powerful, and I really like that about the game. There's really only one thing left on the docket to talk about when it comes to the Street Fighter 6 beta. First of all, I will say, as an overall experience and overall package for the online, it felt dope. There's casual matches, there's lobby matches, and the lobbies are really cool. They're like anime-styled lobbies, but actually working. There's ranked matches, there's in-game tournaments, which I didn't play in any in-game tournaments or play ranked. I played casual matches, and I played lobby matches, mostly lobby matches. The training mode was really cool. A lot of stuff going on in there. There's a lot of ways for you to be able to see like the cancel window for your moves, the active timing for when you can press another button, what moves are cancelable and what are not, like you're glowing a certain color, which is very cool. And the modes seem relatively fleshed out. There's even a way to, if you want, change it so that if a match is very bad, you can hold the start button to cause a no contest, like you would in something like Smash. You can cause a no contest and just stop the match. No one is penalized. I don't think anyone even attempted to use it. I didn't attempt to use it. I just played out my bad matches, and I don't know if anyone else attempted to use it because the game is like in beta. It's new. It doesn't really matter if you lose. Other people are very upset about their losses and have the sickest and most instant of OSs because the game isn't complete. And apparently there's been a lot of people playing an incomplete game for months now. That being those people who played on the cracked version. While I don't personally care, I would like to comment on it because I guess it's like a hot button issue. It's a beta. People, if they want to continue to play the game, they'll find a way to do it. And it's going to maybe ruin the first 2 weeks of competitive play. If you're not competitively minded and you're not going to play competitively, you're just going to be on ranked, you're going to be on casual ladder and in the in-game tournaments and stuff. If you're not playing Capcom Pro Tour and like major level, don't worry too much about the fact that people are playing the cracked beta because it honestly doesn't matter too much. It's really not that important. The bigger deal about it is it just forces Actually, as a matter of fact, it forces everyone to learn faster, right? If people are going to be playing the cracked version of the beta, that means that we'll have more access to information faster. A lot of setups have already been figured out. A lot of cancel windows and timings have already been figured out. The proration, the modern scaling, right? We only know about that because of the users of the cracked beta. All of these things are kind of obnoxious if you want a pure everyone is learning at the same time experience, but if you don't care about that, it's really not a big deal. I personally don't give a shit. I could give a fuck less about if people are, that was sick, nice bait. If people are trying to play the beta now, even though it's already closed, so that they can get more game time in and lab it out and be ready for when the game comes out. Cool. I mean, things might change, things might not change for your character, for the other characters, but it's really just about everyone being excited for Street Fighter 6. I don't think most people are doing it to get some sort of crazy, massive competitive advantage. They're doing it because they just love the game so far and want to continue to play it. Overall, I really liked Street Fighter 6. I thought it was dope. From what I got to play of it, there was only a few characters. There wasn't the full roster that we know of, right? We know that there are 18 characters on launch, and we only get 8 of them. And that's totally okay, right? If I were to rate the characters that we have so far, I think that we have a good mix of characters, except for really heavily weighted towards Shotos, right? We have Ken, Ryu, and Luke. And then we don't have a traditional grappler. We have 2 characters, I believe, with command throws. Kimberly and... Oh, you know what? I think it's just Kimberly. Kimberly is the only character in the beta so far with the command throw. Everyone else is kind of a half Shoto or like mid-range style character. I guess Jamie is probably closer to a rushdown character. So our rushdown characters are like Kimberly and Jamie. Everyone else is pretty much, that was really cool. It's pretty much Shoto / mid-range characters, and that's okay. They're, at least they got the classics covered, and then they've also got a few new faces in there showing up to like let everyone know like, hey, this is Street Fighter 6. This is a new game. Very nice. Punish counter. Damn, I'm sick. Nice. Hell yeah. Yeah, even just watching the combat, right? It's Street Fighter, right? If we take away all the fancy stuff that's happening, all of the drive impacts, all the drive reversal and parries, if you just like watch what's happening on the screen, it looks like Street Fighter in like the best way possible. I think that this is a pretty well-rounded Street Fighter game, not including some of the very, very, very overpowered characters so far. We don't know a lot about what they're going to do to the balance of the other characters that aren't in the beta and the characters who are in but aren't very strong. But it seems like some characters are very good. Chun-Li, super good. Guile, super good. Very, very strong characters in the few that we have in the beta so far. And then, you know, Ryu, Jamie, Kimberly, also pretty decent. I had a fun time learning how to fight against all the characters. I didn't find too many Guiles for how strong he is. It was very strange. I fought mostly the Shotos and what's his name? Jamie. The Shotos and Jamie. Or yeah, the Shotos and Jamie, because I consider Luke a Shoto. But either way, it was a really fun time while it lasted, and I'm pretty hyped. Hopefully, we get a third beta, maybe with more characters or an open beta, or we get the full game sooner than expected, sooner than June 2nd. Doubt it. I will say, because of the cracked beta, I feel like there's probably no incentive for Capcom to give us a version of the beta with more characters. That's the only downside to people playing the cracked version of the beta. It makes Capcom maybe more weary about giving us more things to play with, because if they do, they know we're going to crack it and we're going to have access to even more characters earlier than we're supposed to, and even more possible balance changes and direction of the game than they want us to have so far. It's unavoidable. I'm not upset about it, but I can see how a lot of people don't really like the way that it feels like some sort of unfair. I jumped in at this man 3 fucking times and then he teabagged me. We're going to watch the rest of this match, even if I'm done talking about Street Fighter 6 and a lot of the ways that it can be played. I will say, I do like the meta behind Drive Impact. Some people are very, very, very divided on Drive Impact and how it feels. I guess that's the last thing we can talk about, other than just the competitive advantage of the cracked beta versus the non-cracked beta. People are very upset about Drive Impact, and I think the reason why, there he goes, he did drive reversal, nice, is because of the fact that it actually kind of interrupts the flow of neutral if you're used to just a generic Street Fighter game with nothing extra added on. But if you've played games with V reversal, with V shift, not V shift, what's it called? With V trigger, V reversal, focus attack, right? If you've already played these styles of these more modern Street Fighter games, starting from 4 onwards, you're already used to these things that can kind of change the way neutral has to be played. And while I don't think that it's fun for everyone, I think that it's a pretty well balanced mechanic, because there's a lot of things you can actually do to play around it. You don't have to sit there and hold every single drive impact, right? If you're poking in neutral with very fast buttons like lights, a lot of characters can chain multiple lights together into a special move to beat drive impact before it hit you. Or if you're using something like cancelable normals, which a lot of characters do have very strong cancelable normals, like Ryu, Ken, Luke, Chun-Li, those characters with very good cancelable normals. Do I win this round? Damn, I'm nasty. Just running full screen at him, right? With very good cancelable normals, if your opponent throws out a drive impact at you, you can drive impact in response back because of the fact that the normal is cancelable. And I think that that's pretty dope. Like, it makes for a really nice, interesting mind game where your opponent has to think about more things in neutral, and it adds things to the mental stack that just don't exist in the Street Fighter games. And I don't think that that's inherently a bad thing. I think that it just makes the combat more interesting, and it makes it so that you actually have to worry about what your opponent's doing on defense more often than not, right? There was a lot of situations and times in older Street Fighter games where it was just like, yeah, you got to hold this, haha, right? And now they're, in most modern fighting games, they're trying to remove those situations where it's, oh, you have to hold this, you can't do anything about it. Ooh, nice. Good V reversal. I'm sorry, drive reversal. I think we kill him here. We do. Nice. I was so upset because he was teabagging me. I had to get that W. Coming from a game like Soul Calibur 6, I'm gonna pause this. Coming from a game like Soul Calibur 6, where I'm used to having to deal with having to wait on offense and things like reversal edge, I don't really mind the drive system that much, right? All of the drive mechanics. The parry doesn't seem too fleshed out right now. It's a great way to stop people from just mashing projectiles at you and forcing you to block them. And in mid-range, you can use the perfect parry to actually, counter poke a projectile. You can perfect parry a projectile into a small button or into a poke, into a special move. The drive reversal, once again, didn't see too much of it. It is punishable on block. I didn't block punish any of this guys, but I did block punish a Guile who was mashing the shit out of it. And that felt nice. So it is block punishable. I don't know if it's against the entire roster, if it's character specific or angle specific, but there is ways to play around it. Reversals seem relatively strong because you start off the match with overdrive, with drive meter. Everyone can just, you can let it rip with an EX Shoryu from the beginning of the round as Ken. If you think another Shoto player is going to try to walk up into the ye old and crouching medium kick, you can just EXDP that motherfucker. Pretty cool. And then, of course, drive impact, which we've already spoken heavily on. I think that was the thing that is most dividing people, so that was why I talked about it for so long. But I'm a big fan of all of the mechanics kind of meshing together very well. I think that they're pretty cool. I wish there was less situations where you could drive impact back. So they become something that's more threatening at mid and high level, and less so like a scrub buster and set play thing, where there was a lot of situations where I only saw myself using it against other players as weak as me and against players who I could tell had been playing the game longer, whether because of the cracked beta or they just had more experience or they were playing all day while I played like maybe 8 hours of the beta altogether, maybe 10. It felt significantly weaker against those people. And I think that a lot of it comes down to matchup knowledge, like knowing what buttons your opponent has that are you're in their best range for, that are cancelable or not, and just being able to react to it. Anyways, this is a quick little talk about my thoughts on Street Fighter 6. I might be uploading a lot of these sets and matches to my YouTube. Most of them I do pretty poorly, I think, across the board, but for my first real Street Fighter experience where I'm just getting in there with everyone, it was a really fun time. I thought the game was really dope. And shout outs to the homie Adil or No Dill, AIADIL_no_deal on Twitch for giving me an extra beta code. He had one, so he gave it over to me. And if you guys want to watch another fighting game streamer, I believe he plays mostly DNF Duel and a little bit of retro stuff like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and occasionally Halo Infinite. Yikes. I also like it. It's just pretty bad. Go ahead and give him a follow on Twitch. But if you enjoyed the little talk segment and are expecting and wanting more Street Fighter 6 stuff when it comes out, I'll be around, of course, making videos as always. Not really covering fighting games as heavily as I used to, but we'll be getting there, of course, because I think fighting games are in a really good place right now. Anyway, this has been Beanie Thuggish for the YouTubes, talking about my first real thoughts on Street Fighter 6 after getting to play it for more than a couple hours. Signing out. Peace.